You're standing in the kitchen. You walked in here with a clear purpose. You knew exactly what you needed. And now you're just standing here, hand on the counter, looking around, completely blank. Your daughter walks in. She sees you. She pauses. And there's something in her eyes for just a second, a tiny flicker, before she covers it up and asks if you're okay. You laugh and say you forgot what you came in for. She laughs back. But that look in her eyes, you can't unsee it. That was the look that broke you, because you saw just for a moment what she was thinking. The same thing you've been thinking for months but haven't said out loud to anyone. This isn't normal. It started small, maybe a year ago. The word you needed during a dinner conversation just vanished. The host filled it in for you. Everyone moved on. Except you didn't move on, because something about that empty space where the word should have been felt wrong. Then it kept happening. The neighbor's name at the mailbox, the actor in the movie you've seen 4 times, the reason you opened the refrigerator, the thing you were about to say lost forever mid-breath. And now your daughter is looking at you like that. So here's what you do. You start hiding it. You stop telling stories at dinner parties in case you lose a word in the middle. You write everything down. You pretend you meant to walk into the kitchen for water. You laugh harder than you used to when you forget things, because the laughing makes it seem casual. Just a senior moment, just one of those things. But at night, lying in bed, the fear comes back. The fear you don't say out loud. Not to your husband, not to your sister, not to anyone. Am I losing my mind? Is this how it starts? Was my mother like this at 55? That fear is heavier than the forgetting itself, and you've been carrying it alone. I want you to put it down, right now, for the next 28 minutes. Because what's happening to you is almost certainly not what you think it is. It's not dementia, it's not early Alzheimer's, it's not the beginning of the end of who you are. It's a single brain chemical running on empty. A chemical your doctor has probably never mentioned to you. A chemical that drops by 30 to 40% in most women between 50 and 60. A chemical that can be restored, sometimes within weeks, by changes so small, you'll wonder how something this fixable went unaddressed for so long. Stay with me. I'm going to show you exactly what it is, exactly why it's happening, and exactly how to bring it back. Your daughter is going to stop looking at you that way. I promise. If you're new to this channel, take a second and subscribe before we go further. My name is Dr. Diana. Every day I take one symptom that doctors brush off and I explain what's actually happening underneath. The kind of explanation your 15-minute appointment never has time for. Symptom Cipher is the channel name, new videos every single day. Now, a very important disclaimer before we go any deeper. Memory changes can mean many different things. The kind of forgetfulness we're talking about today, the everyday kind, words slipping, names blanking, walking into a room and forgetting why, that is extremely common after 50 and has well understood biological causes that have nothing to do with dementia. However, if you're forgetting how to do things you've done your whole life, like driving home from the grocery store, if you're getting lost in your own neighborhood, if your family has been noticing changes you haven't, if you're losing track of full conversations, not just words, those are different symptoms. Please, please see a neurologist. Get the proper testing done. Don't rely on a YouTube video to diagnose anything serious. What I'm covering today is the normal, frustrating, treatable kind of forgetting. The kind that has more to do with one specific brain chemical than anything else. That chemical is called acetylcholine, and it's the most important brain chemical almost nobody talks about. Here's why acetylcholine matters so much. Inside your brain, there are over 100 neurotransmitters, chemicals that carry messages between brain cells. You've probably heard of some. Serotonin for mood, dopamine for motivation, melatonin for sleep. Those get all the attention, but acetylcholine is the one that handles what you and I would call thinking. Sharp thinking, quick recall, the ability to grab a word from your memory and use it before the sentence finishes, the ability to take in new information and hold on to it, the ability to focus on what someone is saying without your mind wandering off. If your acetylcholine levels are healthy, your thinking feels crisp. You don't even notice your memory because it's working in the background, smooth as silk. But here's the part nobody told you. After 50, your brain's natural acetylcholine production drops significantly. By age 60, you may have 30 to 40% less acetylcholine activity than you did at 30. That's not a typo. 30 to 40%. Now imagine you're running a busy library. You used to have 10 librarians. Now you have 6. The library is still open. People are still checking out books, but finding any specific book takes longer. Sometimes you can't find one at all. Some books get reshelved in the wrong spot. Some get misplaced entirely. That's what's happening in your brain. The information is still there. The memories haven't disappeared. The words haven't been deleted. But the librarians, the acetylcholine that retrieves them, has been cut by nearly half. So when you stand in the doorway of a room trying to remember why you came in, your brain isn't broken, it's understaffed. And acetylcholine isn't a one-trick chemical either. It does several things at once. It helps you form new memories, which is why you might find it harder to remember things you read yesterday. It helps you retrieve old memories, which is why names suddenly disappear. It controls your attention span, which is why focusing on a book feels harder than it used to. It even regulates your dreams, which is why some women report more vivid or disturbed dreams in their 50s, all from one chemical. A study published in the journal Neuropsychopharmacology in 2020 followed adults between ages 50 and 70. The group with the lowest acetylcholine activity reported 4 times more word-finding problems than the group with the highest activity. 4 times. The good news is, acetylcholine levels are not fixed. They respond to inputs. Specific foods raise acetylcholine. Certain habits drain it. Sleep patterns affect it. So do medications. So does stress. Once you know how the system works, you can support it. Let me tell you about Carol. Carol is 61, a retired marketing executive in California. Sharp as a tack her whole career. She gave presentations to boards of directors. She remembered every client's name, every campaign detail, every meeting note. Her brain was her career. About 3 years ago, she started noticing changes. Small ones at first. She'd be in a meeting and the word for something obvious would just slip away. The first time it happened, she made a joke about it. The second time, her colleague filled it in for her. The third time, she went home and cried. By the time she came to me, she had stopped accepting freelance consulting work. Not because she couldn't do the work, but because she didn't trust herself in front of a client anymore. She told me, and I'll never forget this, "Diana, I feel like I'm watching my own brain disappear in slow motion. And the worst part is, nobody believes me. My husband says I'm fine. My doctor says it's just menopause brain. But I know my brain, and I know this is real." She had every reason to be scared. Her mother had developed Alzheimer's at 72. Her aunt had it at 78. Carol was convinced she was on the same path. She had already started looking at long-term care facilities. At 61. We ran a full workup. Cognitive testing, blood work, hormone panel, B12 and folate, everything she'd never been tested for. Her cognitive scores were actually excellent for her age. The problem wasn't structural. The problem was chemical. Her B12 was on the very low end of normal. Her dietary choline intake was almost non-existent. She'd been on a low-fat, low-egg diet for 15 years. She was sleeping 6 hours a night and waking up 3 times to use the bathroom. She was taking an over-the-counter sleep aid every night, which I'll talk about in a minute because this part is important. Carol didn't have a dementia problem. She had an acetylcholine deficit problem. 3 different inputs to her acetylcholine system were running on empty. We changed her diet. We changed her sleep routine. We adjusted one supplement and removed another. We added a specific food back into her morning routine. 8 weeks later, Carol called me. She said, "Diana, I just gave a 90-minute presentation to a new client. I didn't lose a single word. I didn't blank on a single name. I felt like myself again." She's been consulting full-time since. That was almost 2 years ago. Her memory is sharper now than it's been in a decade. When Carol told me that story over the phone, I remember sitting at my desk and thinking how close she had come to giving up an entire chapter of her life over something completely correctable. She had genuinely been searching for assisted living facilities at 61 because no one had ever told her about acetylcholine. Not one of the half-dozen doctors she had seen, not the neurologist she had paid $800 to consult with, not the cognitive specialist who told her after 20 minutes that she was probably fine but might want to start preparing for what was coming. What was coming? Imagine being told that by a professional at 61 years old, when nothing was actually wrong with you that an egg yolk could not start to address. There's another woman I want to mention briefly because her situation is so common. Her name is Patricia. She's 56, works as a librarian, which I always thought was a beautiful coincidence given how I described the brain. Patricia's main complaint was different from Carol's. She wasn't forgetting words. She was forgetting why she was doing things. She'd open the dishwasher and forget whether she was loading it or unloading it. She'd start a sentence and forget where she was going with it halfway through. She'd reread the same page of a book 4 times before realizing nothing was sticking. Patricia's blood work was completely different from Carol's. Her choline intake was actually decent. She loved eggs. She ate them several mornings a week. But her sleep was a wreck. She was getting maybe 4 solid hours, broken up with multiple wake-ups. And she'd been taking a strong over-the-counter sleep aid every single night for 6 years. 6 years. When we tapered her off that medication and replaced it with the cortisol reset protocol I taught in our first video, she had a rough 2 weeks. Sleep got worse before it got better. But by week 4, she was sleeping through the night for the first time since her divorce in 2018. By week 6, the forgetfulness had cut roughly in half. By week 10, she sent me an email that said simply, "I read an entire book last weekend. I remembered every chapter." 2 different women, same diagnosis from their original doctors, memory problems associated with aging. Both were absolutely fixable. Both were caused by completely different inputs to the same chemical system. That's why I always say the symptom is the same, but the root cause is personal. Once you understand what acetylcholine is and what depletes it, you can start figuring out which specific inputs apply to you. Now, there's one more thing I want to tell you about the brain before we get to the drainers, because it changes how you think about this entire problem. The cells in your brain that produce acetylcholine are clustered in a small region called the basal forebrain. It's right at the bottom of your brain, near the front. This region is, unfortunately, one of the first to show signs of aging. The neurons there are especially sensitive to inflammation, to poor sleep, and to lack of stimulation. Here's the hopeful part. These same neurons are also extremely responsive to positive inputs. Research from the National Institutes of Health has shown that the basal forebrain region can produce more acetylcholine even in adults in their 70s and 80s when given the right nutritional and lifestyle support. The brain is not the rigid, downward-sloping organ we used to think it was. It is responsive, adaptive, and capable of significant repair at any age when you stop draining it and start feeding it. That principle, stop draining it and start feeding it, is the entire framework of what we're going to do. This is not a one-off story. I see this constantly. The fear of dementia driving women to give up parts of their lives that were never actually at risk. So let's talk about the things that are draining your acetylcholine right now. Because before we add the right inputs, we need to remove the wrong ones. The biggest acetylcholine drainer in modern medicine is a class of drugs called anticholinergics. The name literally means against acetylcholine. These drugs block acetylcholine activity, and they are everywhere. Many over-the-counter sleep aids contain diphenhydramine. That's the active ingredient in Benadryl. It's also in PM formula pain relievers. It's a strong anticholinergic. If you've been taking it every night for sleep, you've been actively blocking the brain chemical that handles memory. Many allergy medications, some bladder medications for overactive bladder, several common antidepressants, particularly the older ones, certain medications for vertigo and motion sickness, even some medications for muscle spasms. A 2019 study in JAMA Internal Medicine found that women over 55 taking strong anticholinergic medications regularly had measurable declines in cognitive testing within just 12 weeks of consistent use. Please don't stop any medication on your own. Some are essential, but it's worth sitting down with your doctor and asking, are any of my current medications anticholinergic? Are there alternatives that aren't? That one conversation can be life-changing. The second drainer is chronic poor sleep. Acetylcholine is one of the chemicals that gets replenished during deep sleep, particularly during REM. If you're only getting 4 or 5 hours of real sleep, or if your sleep is broken up by wake-ups, your brain never gets the chance to refill the tank. By morning, your levels are already low. By afternoon, they crash. If you watched my first video on the channel about waking up at 3 a.m., you already know how to address this. Fixing sleep is the foundation of acetylcholine recovery. The third drainer is something nobody talks about. Low dietary choline. Acetylcholine is made from a nutrient called choline. Your body cannot make enough choline on its own. You have to get it from food. And here's the problem. Choline is found most abundantly in foods that have been demonized for the last 40 years. Eggs, especially the yolks, beef liver, whole milk dairy, shrimp. When was the last time you ate a whole egg? 2 whole eggs? with the yolk? For decades, women over 50 were told to avoid these foods because of cholesterol. We now know that dietary cholesterol from whole eggs has almost no impact on blood cholesterol in most people. But the message stuck. A generation of women has been eating egg whites and oatmeal for breakfast, getting almost zero choline, and quietly starving their brains of the building block they need. 2 whole eggs in the morning gives you about 250 milligrams of choline. The daily recommendation for women is 425 milligrams. 2 eggs alone gets you 60% of the way there. Add a serving of grass-fed beef or some shrimp later in the week and you're easily there. The fourth drainer is chronic high blood sugar. When your blood sugar is consistently elevated, even at pre-diabetic levels, the inflammation in your brain rises. This inflammation damages the cells that make acetylcholine, slowly, over years. If you have a family history of diabetes or your fasting blood sugar has been creeping up, or you crave sugar in the afternoon and feel like you can't think clearly after meals, your acetylcholine system is being drained by your blood sugar. The fifth drainer is something you'd never expect. Antihistamines. Yes, the everyday allergy pills. Many of them are mild anticholinergics. The newer ones, like Claritin and Zyrtec, are much milder than older ones like Benadryl. But if you're taking allergy medication daily for months at a time, especially in spring and summer, you may be contributing to your own brain fog. Now let me give you the protocol. This is the acetylcholine restoration protocol. It costs almost nothing, it takes about 10 minutes a day, and the difference most women report within 3 weeks is genuinely striking. Step 1, eat 2 whole eggs every morning, yolks and all. I cannot say this clearly enough. Stop eating egg white omelets. Eat the whole egg. 2 of them scrambled in butter or olive oil with whatever vegetables you like. This single change provides more choline than almost any other dietary intervention. If you genuinely cannot eat eggs because of an allergy or strong dislike, the next best sources are shrimp, salmon, and beef. A choline supplement called CDP choline or alpha GPC can also work, but please discuss with your doctor first. Step 2. Add 1 serving of choline-dense food later in the day. This could be a small portion of grass-fed beef, some shrimp in a stir-fry, a few sardines on toast, a cup of dairy if you tolerate it. The goal is to keep choline coming in throughout the day, not just at breakfast. Step 3. Audit your medications with your doctor. Make a complete list of every medication and supplement you take, including over-the-counter sleep aids and allergy pills. Sit down with your doctor. Ask specifically, are any of these anticholinergic? Can any of them be replaced with something that isn't? This conversation alone can dramatically improve memory within weeks. Step 4, protect your sleep. Use the cortisol reset protocol I taught in the very first video on this channel. If you're not sleeping deeply, your acetylcholine cannot rebuild. Sleep is non-negotiable for brain chemistry. Step 5, walk for 20 minutes every day, ideally in the morning. Morning walks do something fascinating. They stimulate acetylcholine production directly through a process called neurotrophic signaling. 20 minutes of walking in morning light increases acetylcholine activity for the rest of the day. Just 20 minutes. Even if you walk slowly, even if you stop and start, even if all you do is walk to the end of your street and back. That's the protocol. Eggs, choline foods, medication audit, sleep, morning walk. Most women notice the difference within 10 days. Words start coming faster, names start clicking, the middle of the room blankness starts to fade. By 30 days, the change is noticeable enough that family members start commenting on it. By 90 days, you'll wonder how you ever lived without these 5 small changes. I want to address one more thing before we wrap up, because I know somebody watching is thinking it right now. You might be sitting there saying, but Diana, my doctor told me memory loss after 50 is normal. Are you saying my doctor is wrong? No, I'm not saying that. Your doctor is telling you what they were taught. Mild memory changes after 50 are statistically normal in the sense that they happen to most people. That part is true. What's wrong is the conclusion most doctors draw from that statistic, which is, if it's normal, there's nothing to do about it. That's the part I disagree with, strongly. Just because something is statistically common does not mean it's biologically necessary. Lots of things are statistically common in older adults. Low vitamin D, iron deficiency, slow digestion. We don't tell people to accept those things just because they're common. We address them. Acetylcholine decline is the same. It's common. it's also addressable. The fact that the medical system has not historically addressed it doesn't mean it can't be addressed. It just means the science has gotten ahead of the clinical practice, as it often does. The research on choline, on anticholinergic medications, on sleep and brain chemistry has been published in major peer-reviewed journals for over a decade now. It just hasn't filtered down to the average appointment yet. That's why this channel exists, to close that gap. One more thought and then I'll let you go. A lot of women in this age range have a quiet, private fear that they don't talk about. The fear of losing themselves, of becoming the person their grandmother became, or their aunt became, or their mother became. That fear is real. It's understandable. And it's also, in most cases, much bigger than the reality. Dementia is not the same thing as forgetting a word at dinner. Dementia is not the same thing as walking into a room and pausing for a moment. Dementia is a specific, progressive, identifiable disease. Most women I see in my practice who fear they have it do not have it. They have brain chemistry that's off, sleep that's broken, nutrients that are missing, and medications that are quietly working against them. All 5 of those are fixable. If you're carrying that fear right now, even quietly, even just to yourself, please hear me. The odds that what you're experiencing is the beginning of dementia are dramatically lower than the odds that you simply need to address acetylcholine. Start with the protocol. Give it 90 days. See where you are then. Most women find that the protocol alone resolves enough of the symptoms that the fear becomes manageable, and from that calmer place, you can make better decisions about everything else. Now, before we close, I have a small request. Tell me in the comments, what's the most frustrating moment of forgetfulness you've had recently? The funny one, the embarrassing one, the one that scared you, whatever comes to mind. I want this comment section to be a place where women can say these things out loud, finally, without anyone making them feel old or broken. And while you're down there, do 2 things for me. Let me know your age, just the number, and tell me what city you're watching from. These 2 pieces of information help me figure out who's actually watching this channel and what to make videos about next. If this video gave you even a flicker of relief, the smallest moment of thinking, oh thank God, this is fixable, click that thumbs up. It's the only signal YouTube has to show this to the next woman who's lying awake at night, worried she's losing her mind, when in reality, she's just low on a brain chemical that responds beautifully to 2 scrambled eggs. Tomorrow, I'm answering a question I get more than almost any other one. Why does your stomach get bloated after every single meal? Even healthy ones, even small ones, and even meals that never used to bother you? The answer surprises everyone because it has nothing to do with what you're eating and everything to do with when. Come back tomorrow, we'll figure it out together. Until then, eat the eggs, walk in the morning, and the next time a word slips away from you, smile, because now you know exactly what's happening and exactly how to fix it. Take care of that brain. It's been carrying you faithfully for a very long time, and it has so much more to give.